There is a controversial issue that has developed at the Ministry of Labor and Social Security over the loss or misuse of $3.3 billion over a 2-year period. This issue is deepening with the impending resignation of at least one member from a board and revelations that 60 recommendations to fix problems at the ministry did not reach the permanent secretary. Pages of a 2017 internal audit of some of the National Insurance Fund resort management companies' operations points to chilling conclusions about how taxpayers' money was being utilized. It further adds to the mounting pressure on Carl Samuda's ministry, which has oversight for the National Insurance Fund, the state's pension fund, which is funded from National Insurance Scheme contributions. Recently, it was reported that the ministry accounted for $3.3 billion of at least $40 billion of tax dollars exposed to loss or misuse, based on an analysis of the last two Auditor General Department's annual reports. Conclusions from the 2017 Ministry of Labor and Social Security Internal Audit Report indicates that there was an absence of internal controls, which resulted in the inability to properly account for funds spent, which facilitated the ease of transferring significant sums. One of the significant transfers included $187 million that the Auditor General mentioned was transferred from the NIF to the fund's resort management company in 2017 without the necessary approvals. It was also mentioned that the NIF incurred significant financial loss and unwarranted expenditure while not receiving the investment inflows projected from the NIF-owned Braco Village Hotel in Trelawney, which is under the management of the private Spanish chain Melia Hotels International. The fund has not received value for money. The auditor bluntly stated that the ministry is exposed to reputable damage if public disclosure is made of the non-compliance with government regulations. Melia Jamaica Braco Village is among the NIF's most valuable property in a real estate portfolio valued at more than $12 billion in 2017. Following a $2.5 billion upgrade, the 232-room hotel was opened for business in 2015, with gross operating profit projections for the first 5 years ranging from approximately $570 million in 1 year to $850 million in year 5. The contract included a provision for guaranteed returns from the NIF as owner and was conditional on the hotel being profitable after the first year of operation. This ranged from US $7,000 per key in the second year of operations to US $7,577 in the sixth year of operation. The clause in the agreement, however, stated that if targets were not met, a payment would still go to the NIF. Not much detail on the hotel's financial performance has been published. However, preliminary information for 2016 suggests that the hotel made an operating loss of approximately $550 million, a near 200% on the performance of the projected target. Losses totaling approximately $125 million were recorded in 2015, $535 million in 2017, while in 2018, it shows that there was a gross operating profit of approximately $53,000. A cache of emails also indicates a robust debate involving senior officials of Melia trying to determine when the operating year starts to determine payments to the government. They also obtained documents of board meetings in which the issues were raised, most notable at a September 2017 without prejudice meeting involving officials from the ministry and Melia in Florida, United States. Efforts to get a comment on this matter proved unsuccessful, and many persons also promised to pass on additional information. Questions about payments to the NIF, as per agreed contracts, and on any debts owed to the government entity, as well as steps taken to settle any outstanding sums, were also placed with the Ministry of Labor and Social Security's Permanent Secretary, Mrs. Roberts Risden, However, she declined to give any details, pointing to the ministry's planned appearance on Tuesday before the Parliament's Public Accounts Committee. The committee is expected to do further research and investigations into the Auditor General's 2020 annual report, which has criticized the ministry for being tardy in responding to recommendations as far back as 2011. Among the startling findings and discoveries was that the ministry was yet to respond to 60 issues of systemic weaknesses as far back as 2017. Many of these issues were mentioned in the report of the Auditor General, and they relate to matters several years old and have been long addressed. There are, however, some instances when budget and human resource constraints impede the pace at which some things were or are being addressed. Risden, who took over as Chief Operating Officer in 2015, said that the lack of written response by the responsible managers to the internal auditor does not mean that the issue has not been addressed or is not being addressed. Matters brought to the attention by internal audit are addressed through decisions or actions taken at a higher level and would be reflected in follow-up audits. This is what the accounting officer mentioned. The ministry's report submitted to the PAC for the scheduled meeting maintains that line, but also includes a major admission while raising questions about the depth of the Auditor General's investigations. The ministry said that further examination showed that in many instances, the internal auditors did not include the appropriate program auditors in the audits. Actions to prevent reoccurrence include the planned establishment of an internal audit register, facilitate monthly and quarterly tracking of reports. Divisional directors and chief technical directors will also be required to monitor the status of internal audit queries, recommendations, and state actions taken, and provide quarterly updates. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Let me know what you think about this matter surrounding the misuse of $3.3 billion out of $40 billion at the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.